Recording in progress.
It's 6:01, so we're going to call to order the Design Review Board meeting of March 1st, 2022. First, I'd like to ask us to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, I'd like to introduce our staff and our board members.
Shubha Jangam, Senior Planner.
Michael Cardeman, Planner 2.
Casey,
Oh, I'm sorry. Casey Robinson.
Doug Haney, Bethany Way.
Reed Casey, Bethany Road.
Charlie Roberts, Freemanville Road.
Ken Warlick, Hipworth Road.
This is our regular monthly meeting of the Design Review Board. It's a 7-member board appointed by the City of Milton, Mayor and City Council, and we're created for the purpose of holding public hearings and making recommendations to various boards and to the council. Design Review Board reviews the plans, makes the recommendations to the Community Development Director for the developments, except for single-family residential, in the form-based code and overlay districts of Milton. In addition, Design Review Board approves or denies the demolition permits and requests and makes recommendations to the Board of Zoning Appeals on variances. Next, the next on the agenda, everybody have, the agendas are back here if you want to get one. So in the back of the room. Next on the agenda is to approve this month's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve this month's agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries and approved. Next, I'd like to get the approval of the minutes of the February meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of February 1st DRB meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next we'll get into the formal part of our meeting, and that's demolitions. So the first item on our agenda tonight is 16755 Morris Road. Do we have an applicant here? You want to come up? And I would go ahead and ask now, so we know as the meeting unfolds, do we have any opposition to this? Okay, no opposition. All right, Mr. Applicant.
My name is Nathan Young. I'm with the Alloy Group. I just wanted to present this to the board, see if there are any questions or concerns that needed to be addressed.
Okay, that's all you want to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll close the public meeting, and I'll ask the board for their considerations or discussion.
Thank you.
You can stay up in case they have any questions.
Any significant historical value in the existing structures on the property?
Not that was found through the survey, sir.
Okay. I actually have a lot of clients that really like that brick. You could probably make some good money
Yeah.
if this is approved.
Anybody have any other discussion?
Drive by that house every day.
Hearing no other discussion, can I get a motion on this case?
A motion to approve demolition of 16755 Morris Road.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next case is item 5B, 35, let's see, is this the one we've got an address change?
Yes, 3582 Avansong Village.
Okay, so the agenda has, we should have corrected that earlier, but
It
anyway.
was correct. I think she gave us.
Oh,
a
it's,
new-
oh, yeah, we handed out a new
Yep.
one. Okay,
I think the applicant's not here, but this is a demo because of the fire kind of case. Do you want me to present it to you?
normally I wouldn't, but since this is a fire case, we probably ought to get it off the agenda, so you go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So,
Let me ask first, any opposition to this?
no.
Okay,
And I think there was a fire in the apartment, not apartment, the townhouse, or single-family homes at Avansong subdivision, and there is a fire report in the packet. And you see the pictures, and they're just trying to build the exact same house on the same foundation as per the insurance required, you know. So I don't think it's really complicated kind of a case.
all right.
Yeah, put something else up.
Any discussion from the board? Can I get a motion?
A motion to approve demolition at 3582 Avansong Village Circle.
Second?
Second. Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, now we move into courtesy reviews. We do not vote on these. We recommend to BZA or Planning Commission on our thoughts. So 6A is a courtesy review. 13651 New Providence Road. Would the applicant come forward? And before we start, do we have any opposition?
No, in fact, they have support letters from both sides of the property.
Okay, and you have those in the record?
Yes, I do have them in the record.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Elaine
Well-
Guarino, but he's the homeowner, so I'd like him to speak with you, and I'm here to answer questions, okay?
Hey, everyone. Homeowner at 13651 New Providence Road, and we have a sideways facing house to New Providence Road where the The back setback is preventing us from expanding our one-car detached garage into a two-car detached garage. And we're requesting an extension of just enough to be able to build that second garage. I think it's 14 feet into a 50-foot variance, leaving about 35 feet left over. And again, as it was said earlier, we have letters of approval from both of our neighbors to the east and the west, and also a third approval from our neighbor to the north. It's actually on New Providence Road.
This is a flag lot.
And for the record, who are you?
I'm Elaine Guarino. I represent the builder. I do the permitting and variances for them. I've been working with
Your full name and your address for the record?
Elaine Guarino, 141 Vistawood Lane, Marietta, Georgia, 30066.
Thank you.
I just have a question.
You have a question? Okay.
The tandem garage, the single tandem bay garage is already there.
Correct.
You got a whole new set of plans. I was confused when I got it. I think I know the house and the road here, strip of houses, but okay. Just want to make sure you're just doing an addition onto the side of that tandem garage, expanding it to the left
That is correct.
and into the build line, which is a rear build line.
But the neighbor on that side of the property, you'd have an A-OK from them.
That's correct, yep. All surrounding neighbors have said no problem.
Yeah, the fact that you have your neighbors' support is, to me, is very, very clear, and I'm ready to make a motion if there's any other questions.
And then you have, the plans we have are the architecture.
Mhm.
And so we would be recommending based on this architecture and this set of plans.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we're not voting. So I think the board would recommend to BZA for approval and that we're happy with the architecture per the submittals and that we would recommend approval. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Look like the rest of the house.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Cut and dry.
pretty
all
good.
good.
Did want to talk to you all about.
All right, the next case is 6B tonight. 4855 Windward Parkway. It's a courtesy review also.
Yep. So we are trying to get you the building reviews in two stages, a courtesy review and a final review, so that now, the applicant will have a opportunity to change it, and you can view, you can review the building with the LDP as well. This was a intent. That's why the whole package was together, building and LDP. But you have two item lines here, the LDP, the next 7A and 6A is just building. Right now, I'm just going to ask architect to come over here and explain his building.
But we are going to vote and make a decision on two different cases because they're in the agenda is 6B and 7A, and they're for different issues.
Yes.
Correct.
So for
We'll
6B,
recommend
I was hoping that you will just give him comments, but if you want to go ahead and approve it, I was just giving you opportunity to review it ahead of final renderings because his package was not complete as such for the building review. I let him come here for a preliminary review of the building
So
architecture.
6B is a preliminary review?
Yes, just give him comments.
Okay. And so no voting, we're just going to comment on these as a preliminary.
Yes, and
They
he will
will-
come back
Then
again.
they'll be back to see us
Yes.
later. All right, so that's what the board's doing here. So applicant can come up.
My name is Gary Lowry. I'm with Atlanta Design Associates, and we're working in conjunction with PCA Architects. and have assembled the package that you see there. We were a little confused, I must say, on the package. We understood from a package that we were given as a reference that we should blend it all together with the land disturbance side and the architectural side. We're glad to come back, but are open to y'all's comments. And if we can wrap it all up tonight, we would love to do that as well. This is Dr. Eric Atkinson, the owner, and I'll let you speak for just a moment, tell about your project.
And just because I wasn't paying attention, did you give us your full name and address, both
Yeah.
of you, if you would, for the
I
record?
filled it out on the,
If you would,
oh,
we're
Gary-
recording,
Gary-
this is recorded tonight,
I see.
so if you'd give me that information.
Gary Lowry, Atlanta Design Associates, 630 Old Orchard Drive, Marietta, Georgia. And
And my name is Dr. Eric Atkinson. My address is 14415 Wood Road in Milton, Georgia. A little bit.
well, let me lay the groundwork. Dr. Atkinson bought this property in 2017. We began the design process at that time, and then several circumstances led to us delaying it. And we took it up again about a year ago and have been working and are at the point that you see in the package today. I'm here to answer any questions about that, but we feel like we're at the end of the design development stage and are about to start engineering on the projects with the approval of the committee.
Yeah, as you can tell, it's a beautiful building, and we're excited to occupy the majority of that building for my dental office. There'll be myself and an associate dentist in that office. We have a 2,000 square foot spot next to us, which we will lease. It'll be a tenant spot. So we're really excited about this project. And right now, I'm located right down the road from that location, about a mile on Windward Parkway. So we have a large patient base, and we're excited to move to a bigger location.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to get the board's comments. I do want to be clear, you need to come back with the actual samples of the material, shingles
Okay.
and paint colors, and submit those so that that's in writing and in the record. Okay, because we don't have that tonight.
So that needs to be presented in writing, the colors, materials, manufacturers of all that.
As if none of us will be around in 2 years and there's an issue, it's in writing, it's in the record, and it's in the city's files on what got approved. In writing, and these paint colors, manufacturer and number, same with the brick. And when you present it, we'd like the originals so we can just look at them, because it's so hard to copy things.
More detailed is typically better, like roof colors, things like that.
Yeah, all the exterior finishes, paint, roof, brick, samples, and manufacturer's specs. We're in a period of time here where we're seeing things done that are not what we approved a year or two ago because of supply issues. And many things are looking different than what was approved. So the community development director and city architect, we want this on the record. And if you can't get it, you can always come back and ask for a change.
Can we proceed with a building permit before we present that? Is that possible?
I don't think so. They can't until that's presented to us and decided. We want to approve what you're doing so you can build what you've asked for. But if you have that, you'll be back in 30 days, right?
Well, we would be. So I guess time is of the essence with us. So we don't want to wait, and we're about to hear from Brad Riffle, the civil engineer, as the next agenda item, who I think is complete with his plans on the land disturbance side. We will see how that goes when y'all take up that part of the agenda. We're just wanting to step right behind that and keep construction going so Dr. Atkinson can get in his new facility as quickly as possible.
Well, you get an LDP and you're going to be a couple of months grading and all that anyway.
That's true. Exactly.
So, your LDP lets you do your grading and pipe and underground. You're 8 to 10 weeks on that. So if you're back to see us in 30 days and you have everything in writing and submitted to staff and then show us the samples, you should be in good shape.
I brought samples today of the general intent, if that helps us to lay the groundwork for that. And then we can put the exact, manufacturers and all that on it. But so I've got some samples if y'all are interested in seeing them, plus the inspiration photos that we put on here as well, reference photos. So
Again, helping you, you're hurrying, but if you come back with general ideas, you're going to get denied. So that's a scary word. If you want to hurry up, it's details in writing, samples, details that are public record and approved. Okay.
I have something to add to that.
Okay.
To Charlie's point is from my point of view, I think what you have here is as far as the renderings, the layouts, the floor plans, even the kind of CAD, renderings as well. But on the a lot of the kind of elevations that you have on here, is brick veneer to client's choice. I think what Charlie and the board would like to see is that actual brick veneer.
Yes.
What is that color? The inspiration photos are very helpful because that does give us an idea of color, the color, the palette, the look, the overall kind of shape and size of the building that you're going for. But just by having, like Charlie said, again, general rock veneer to client's choice. Well, if you guys pick a purple veneer and we approve that, then I think that's kind of opposite the point that this board is kind of appointed to try to help the city of Milton. So.
Do you like the, whatever right now you're seeing in the rendering, do you like that? Do you think he's going in the right direction?
Let's let the board discuss what we have before us
Yeah.
and answer her question and the applicant's question. It's a preliminary review, so let's ring in on anything good or bad.
Yeah, I like the building a lot. I think it's got a lot of architectural pleasantries to it. It's very appealing. It's not just one flat side of a building with one roof line like we see sometimes. It doesn't have a lot of board and batten like all these places that come before us do. It's got some actual oomph to it. I like it a lot. Thank you. I think it actually sort of is representative of the fire station, police station that are just north of you next to Q that the city has. So I like it a lot.
thank you.
Is the brick, because the examples that you have that are now spread over by Avalon, is that brick painted?
Painted brick.
Yeah. So are you gonna be painting the brick
That's the
also?
intent. Yep.
Okay, so then what we really need is just the color that you're gonna be painting that brick.
Yeah, it looks a little stark white on the CAD rendering,
Right.
but it looks like you may be going towards more of a softer white on some of the other examples.
Certainly, corner a lot more.
Than it is now, really.
On the LDP, there looks like there was a pavilion that was also included at, I guess you call it the south end. Is that correct? So I would just make sure that any other structures that you have, you also have the architecture for those. I didn't see it in the architecture.
That's a good point. We'll get that on there.
That's a very good point. I missed that totally, so that's really good.
I didn't see any additional structures besides those two, the main structure of the pavilion.
And you'll have to have drawings to permit that. What paint colors and samples do you have with you?
I'll get them.
Let's let the board look at that and ring in on what they're seeing, just so we don't have a misfire next month.
Considering that is not painted.
Go forward.
But aren't you going to paint it?
We are, but this is a brick that we're having to paint.
Oh,
We got one paint. Part of the ground. That's the rock, this is the brick, this is one of the, larger sample of these.
If you could, we don't want to look at things that are maybes. If you know that's what you're going to do, but if it's iffy, we'll just wait till next month.
Well, what I'm asking you is if we can find a brick and has some character to it, opposition to that.
Not for me.
I don't believe
just,
so.
I just put some of that at the end of my driveway.
Okay, so there you go on
Not
that.
painted, it's.
Thank you.
Both of these would be.
And your drawings need to get changed that it's going to be that brick.
If that's the direction we go,
It's not as stark as.
Yeah.
I've said it to several architects for the last 5 years, and they still haven't heard me. And we've had problems, so we're just really trying to help everybody be clear. Those drawings are what you got to build. So that's the brick and the paint. It may not be painted now. What about roofing?
It'll be architectural shingles. GAF is what we're looking at as the manufacturer.
But you don't
And
have
it's
a color with
It's
you
a
tonight.
slate. I've got the board out in the car if you'd like me to get those.
No.
But it's a pretty standard shingle that's used.
Tan, brown,
Slate.
Slate,
slate.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'll be,
Is it a 3-tab or an architectural shingle?
architectural shingle. Yeah,
But you're using metal roofs on those accent roofing.
that's correct. It'll be a charcoal color.
yeah, bring all those samples.
Come back next week. That same.
So am I correct that there's no need to resubmit this general package that we have here? We just need to bring the samples and add the colors to the elevations?
In the pavilion.
Or-
Well, now, only if these are what you're going to build. So these, you need to resubmit these with all the owner choice out of here and your specs in them so that when these go of record, that's what you're going to build. So if we review this next month and it says owner to pick, or if it's available, we use it, that isn't going to work.
But we need to resubmit the package, probably without the LDP
Yeah,
section
without
in there.
LGP,
We can leave
just
that
more
out.
renderings for them.
Well, we don't know yet. We haven't heard the case, but we're hoping your LDP gets approved. Because that's grading and pipe, and there's no architecture there. So then next month you can get your architecture approved.
I would say from my standpoint, this is based on what I see and what you guys have, other than those kind of comments that we had, and then having kind of a sample board. For me, I'd see no reason to not recommend approval at that point.
Thank you.
All right, so we've done the courtesy review on the building, item 6B, and we'll see the final whenever you submit it.
Okay, next month.
So we've concluded without a vote needed, item 6B, 4855 Windward Parkway, and we're ready to move on.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is 7A. 7A is the request for a final LDP at the same address, 4855 Windward Parkway. We got the same owner and a new player. So if
That's
you
correct.
could both again give me your name and address in the record.
I'm Brad Riffle with AEC, 50 Warm Springs Circle, Roswell, Georgia.
Eric Atkinson, 14415 Wood Road, Milton, Georgia.
So I was hoping there would be something on the screen to look at, and I'm sure you see it in your packages about the site plan. It was pretty much dictated by where the city wanted the building up at the corner, and then some of the curb cut locations that were somewhat dictated as a result of transportation desires. So it kind of lent itself to site planning itself almost. Working with the building's footprint and size and how many parking spaces Dr. Atkinson wanted, we were able to finesse all that in, and we are deep into the LDP process. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions on what he's said so far and submitted?
So I guess I'm confused. I only see in this packet the tree replacement plan, the landscape plan, the site layouts, site drainage, stormwater. Is that what we're? Shuba, is that what we're?
Yep, we have
Okay.
that. We have all this.
Okay.
In general, look for C4. That's where the site plan is readable, where the building is and where the parking is.
Okay.
And those are the AEC drawings, right?
Yes, sir. The C drawings. And the T drawings, I guess.
Shuba, is this a final for this LDP?
Pretty much, they have few
Wait a minute, it either is or it can't be pretty much.
That's because you are the last stop for LDP. So we haven't issued LDP, but it's complete.
So if we approve it, you're going to issue it.
Yes.
All right, so staff's reviewed the
Yes.
entire set of drawings and has no comments and staff's
Comments have
happy.
been addressed.
Was staff recommending approval, the issuance of LDP?
Yeah, we've gone through a couple of rounds of comments and addressing, and then we resubmitted a week or so ago with the last round of plans.
Okay.
What are the pavers that are being used for the permeable paver parking spots?
Well, we hadn't quite determined that. I'm sure it's going to be a Belgard product. We need to figure that out in terms of what the style and look. I'm sure it's just going to be a running bond kind of pattern, maybe a brownish look. We need to kind of discuss that.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
We just decided.
And of course, we're overparked, so one of the conditions was that any parking spaces over code, they wanted us to apply the permeable surface, which is the pavers. So that's why you see that center band. It's kind of the center drainage area where we're running everything to from a water quality standpoint. It's going into a reservoir under each bay of parking and then infiltrating into the grade. And then once it gets to a certain point, then it'll fill over to the detention area. So basically that center band is where the permeable pavers are, is where we're doing the water quality and infiltration.
This
I
is just
think
CMP pipe for the underground detention?
I'm sorry?
I said it's just CMP pipe for the underground?
Yeah.
I'm curious, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is the color of the permeable paver something that would be part of the DRB review in the packet for the architecturals? No?
I
I'm
mean, it
just
will be,
The answer is yes. We should have had that also here. Do what?
Yeah, can we lump that aspect into the architectural review next week
Yes.
or 1 month?
We'll let you do that.
Okay.
But the answer is anything architectural, it should have been here. Again, in this world of, we can't, I'm a builder, he's a builder. We can't get anything we plan, and we're beginning to see all kind of hodgepodge. 2 months ago, we had a major office building come back with a total redesign because they can't get what they want. That's why we want the detail here. So in the architectural package, let's call out the pavers you're going to use.
Okay.
And I doubt you'll be here, so the architect's going to shoulder that.
Right.
If we approve this and we get a motion, we'll approve it based on the pavers being approved at a later date, but prior to installation.
Okay.
Okay? All right, more discussion.
My only thought was color-wise to be the same as the stone that you're going to use on the building, right? Similar in that color.
Yeah,
that was
we'll
passed around.
we'll work with Gary and find something that's compatible or complementary, for sure.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion on this. I'm going to make a motion to approve, and part of it is just the quality of work that AEC does,
Thank you.
and that the doctor could even afford you. And so, no, you do great work. So I'm comfortable with how you've engineered it. And normally, there's not a selection, but in this case, the pavers we've talked about. So I'd make a motion, see what the board wants to do.
I would agree. I think, so often we get quite a bit of lack of detail and, other than those certain couple things on the aesthetics portion of it, everything else is a pretty detailed packet. So, you guys did a good job. So I would agree. And unless anyone has anything else, I'll make a motion to approve.
I
You second-
think Charlie made a motion. Somebody
Sorry.
has to
Sorry, go
second
ahead.
it.
So we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 6B,
Thank you.
4855 Windward Parkway is approved. Thank you.
Can I ask a question real
Seven,
fast?
7A
Is this closed?
Sir?
7A is approved. 6B,
7A.
they're going to come back with
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 7B. No,
7A.
7A. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Can I ask an additional question? The landscape is one of the questions that we had on this plan, the trees that are in front of the building. So I think that was the city.
That's an arborist question.
It's an arborist question. Okay.
But go ahead. What is your question? You can
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah,
I
we
guess
may
I
be
would- I
able
guess I would
to
like
help
your
you.
opinion. We have this beautiful building and we're putting these big trees right in front of it.
So that was a required code, and I think we did some compromise on the Cockburn side.
Did some
We,
changes.
yep.
Milton,
I'll be happy with the change. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Milton loves our trees, and there's a set of laws on what you got to put back.
Yep. Got it. Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
yeah, and to your point, just based on the tree recompense, you've got a hefty replacement quantity to go in here, and then the arborist is going to want to see distance from. So I think from what you have drawn here, that it does look busy, but I don't think that it's going to take away as much of the actual view of the building as you think, based on what I'm seeing here.
Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next case, 7B, Chadwick Village, Lot 1, 13625 Arnold Mill.
So you guys remember, we approved this in December. Some of you were not here, but the architecture for this building was approved in December.
And I'm going to have some questions, and I have the plans that were approved in December with about 50 notes on them. So we've got some issues here to discuss.
Okay.
Wow,
So
they're
this was submitted to the DRB in December, correct? Okay. Well, we're
Yes,
not
sir.
looking at that now. We're,
So Shuba, here's where my questions are before the applicant starts.
Right.
First, is there any opposition?
No.
Okay, no opposition. We had a lengthy meeting on this with numerous changes,
Yes.
and we have never seen this come back to us with those architectural changes.
Well, you approved it with those conditions, so we recorded them, we gave them conditions, they changed their renderings, they gave us back the new rendering, and I have saved it. Now, the building has not come for permitting yet, but when it comes for a permitting, I will check it.
Okay, and it won't come back to us for the permit,
No, because the building, you approved the building with the
okay?
conditions.
With all these conditions.
Yes.
So there is still some opposition out in the neighborhood, homeowners, on this C-store and the whole development. This is in your packets. This has been a legal case going back some time. So you all saw the letter in your package from the zoning attorneys. So what I would like, just to keep in touch with this, is for you to get me a copy of all the conditions that we approved. And that I know that's in the record, and we know what we're going to approve for the building permit. Because these were extensive changes. Read,
Yes, they were.
extensive.
Main printer.
So, and you don't need those tonight.
Oh, okay. I was
No, we-
printing him.
Yeah, no, I'm just, they're here for this final, but not for a building permit. So I just want to make, this is LDP, right?
That's just LDP right now, yeah.
Right. So we're doing that work. And the building permit, when's your thought on when you're going to look for a building permit?
They're at least a month behind me before they even submit to the city.
So I'd like to just, since I was so involved in that, and the public has been very involved in this, and it's been a legal case, I'd like to see all those changes and match them up to my notes that we did. And then I can meet with you and Bob, and we'll cover that. So when you're ready to meet with me next week, let's meet with Bob and you next week and see what got published to them and what we're looking for. Make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, great. Now let's move forward.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jack Johnson. I'm a Foresight Group. My address is 3740 Da Vinci Court, Peachtree Corners, Georgia. Imran Ramju's here with me. Just perfect timing, stepped in. He's the developer owner for this. As you mentioned, there's been a pretty long history with this development. We're right there on Chadwick Farm Boulevard and Arnold Mill, 140. Landfill's behind us. The military depot is just a little bit north of us. I think you all probably know the spot. The site plan was heavily discussed and worked out and ironed out with Bob Buscemi and the city, and there's several attorneys involved. So that site plan was dictated by that agreement, and that's what we've stuck with. With our application, we're just doing lot one of that, which is the corner piece. It's got the C-store, it's got the pavilion, and it's got about a 3,200 square foot, 3,250 square foot commercial building, all as part of lot one. Yes, sir.
And for the record, DRB did not have any issues with the site plan
Okay.
and the placement of the buildings.
Okay, good. So, yeah, so that was, the site plan is pretty much dictated by that agreement. And so we're stuck with that. In the agreement, if you flip to that, you'll see there's future development, but our client, Imran, they're just doing the corner piece. And the current landowner is going to develop the rest of that in the future at some point. So, and he'll have to abide by the agreement for the remainder of the development there. So in the future, there's 3 more buildings planned out for that piece that'll be off the road that we're putting in now. When we met with Bob, kicking this lot one off in the city, we were required to put in the road that goes around and connects from 140 back behind the C-store to Chadwick Farm Boulevard. And he required that we go ahead and put in those parking spaces that were shown on the agreement. So that's why we're putting them in, even though there's not any buildings going in back there. We were required by Bob to put in those parking spaces now. I just wanted to point that out because it does look a little odd that we're putting parking in back there with no buildings yet, but that was something that Bob's interpretation of the agreement, he thought, we must put those in, and so we're happy to do that. Right, he said we didn't have to put them in as pavement now because whenever they come in to build, they could use that for construction staging or whatever. So right now we can just gravel those parking spaces. So that's what we did. We're pretty far along with our LDP, just kind of like the last applicant. So trying to think what else we can discuss here, but that's pretty much it,
I have a question. Just confirm for me, we're showing curbs throughout because one of DRB's issues was you were using bumper blocks and no curbs, and that there are now curbs throughout.
I see curves here, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, sir. We have curbs throughout.
Okay, so on the record, there will be no bumper blocks and it will be all curbs. Anywhere there's asphalt, there'll be curbs.
Let me just double check so I make sure I'm not making that up.
On C5.
Yes, if you look at also C1.1,
SC 1.1 is a major site plan.
yes, sir, there's curbs everywhere. There's no parking bumpers.
And I see it too. I just want to be on the record so that the owner, contractor, and everybody, it's on the record. It's in your plans, but that was important to us.
Okay.
That those curbs be there.
Absolutely.
You said there's 3 additional buildings. I guess 2 are in that center grass area and then 1 is over to the side. Is that?
Correct. That's a totally different entity that'll be doing that, yeah.
Ken?
It's a pretty extensive infrastructure. No, I mean, I was just kind of looking at the retaining wall samples are, typical Allen block. But I imagine, again, is that something that would have gone through the DRB for the actual architecture, not necessarily the land disturbance permit, correct?
Should have.
I don't know if they
I
put,
don't know
Well,
that you
at that
presented
time,
that.
at the time that they came in, we hadn't gotten to that point with grading to know that we would need a wall. And in the DRB application for site, it required us to submit the retaining wall. So that's why we put it in there. And the retaining wall is going to be really short. It's
What's
just,
what color is it?
we have it as kind of tannish brown to match the building stone. And it's only about 2 feet tall and it's a pretty short run of
Let's
wall.
make sure this is in the record and it's the color because it signifies the color and the look. And since you don't have a manufacturer or color sample, let's put this in the record, that it'll be this look and this color.
Okay.
And not a cement gray.
Right.
That it's a tan, buff, got some color to it.
Because the wall is only really at that kind of northwestern corner of the commercial space, and then some cheek walls on those stairs from what I see, so.
That's right.
I don't have a problem with the walls, it's just, we want the
I want
color.
to make sure you,
It's cheaper, as you know, to do cement color. It's more
Right.
expensive to put color in it, and we want the color.
Okay.
Architecturally.
Yeah, I don't see anything that stands out, other than an expensive infrastructure and the tree placement and stuff looks good to me and same with the handrails and bike racks stuff too, so.
Casey, Doug, you have any comments down there? All right, can I
Yeah,
get
I
a
feel like
motion?
we're coming into it half baked. So it took me a while to get my head around reviewing it this weekend, what it was what had already been decided and what hadn't. So no,
All right, so can we get a motion?
Are we approving this one? Motion to approve?
it's a final, so I'll
Or
make a
deny?
motion.
Well,
It's your
I'll make a
pleasure.
motion to approve Chadwick Village Lot 1.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
thanks a
Good
lot.
luck.
Brett.
Appreciate it.
And Mr. Owner, be sure and talk to your architect and get the plans right when you submit them so you get your building permit. And we covered a lot of ground that night. And he was very nice. He's a great guy. We liked him a lot. And again, the neighborhood's concerned about the quality and the issues. And so just those plans are going to be important, and we'll be, as we read that night, we're going to look at those before the building permit. Okay, thank you. This should be a home run development. It's going to look really great with the little building, and C-store, the architecture was good, and it's really good now. So we're excited to have it.
Happy to build something that the city wants.
Super.
Thank you.
Yeah. I felt like,
Can I take a look at that?
Sure.
when I first saw
apologize
that
for all
though,
my
Charlie,
They can, comments are closed. Too
No,
late.
I'm.
when I first saw that, I was surprised that was still City of Milton. I was like, surely that's not City of Milton. That's way the heck out there.
Yeah,
It's on the tippity
I was
I thought the
surprised.
same thing. I kept driving. I'm like, what? Where is this place?
Well, I've passed it plenty, taking my boys to cross country meets and stuff like that, going to all the Cherokee County schools for football games, whatever. I was like, I know exactly where and then the military depot right there. I know exactly where that was, but
And
hard to believe that's still Milton.
rural Milton and the people out there just didn't want a gas station. And it was a difficult process. So, but he's done a good job with the architecture. You saw it.
Yeah,
And now,
I mean, he's gonna. That's got to be. I mean, just looking at that linear footage of storm pipe and the tanks he's got, and
it's a lot. All right, are we at old business or new business?
We are at new business.
All right, any new business?
You guys want to talk about your walk tour?
Uh,
You wanted to do Crabapple and Deerfield.
Let's do another month till it gets more walkable weather. And we'll talk about that walk next month.
make a motion to approve that.
And there, the case that I'm concerned about may be coming in the next month or so, which would make the walk even more appropriate. So that was new business, right?
That was, so also, just any feedback on the training that we got you? Do you like
This
it?
was-
Do you want to get more?
Extremely helpful.
Yeah, I brought my packet with me.
Same.
That was very helpful. I was like, I might have to.
It was good. I wish we had more time.
Yeah, I mean,
Not too much more time, but not that we didn't.
Casey wants a Saturday next.
That one takes time. Well, just to kind of, for me. for my
Right.
purposes.
At the old blind dog.
I couldn't be here on Saturday. I got basketball games.
right. Yeah, I wish we had more time because it was,
I know.
you had a lot of questions.
Gentlemen wanted to go on a little bit more as well.
Yeah,
I think we would tell you that the board would like that to be a 2-hour session next time,
Okay,
because there was, and we just barely scratched the surface. It was
Okay.
great. And there was a lot more we could have done. BZA really liked it too. I got a lot of feedback from them. And we needed to do that. We didn't do it for the last 4 years, and it was really good.
interesting.
And
I think it's one of those things where if we'd have done it before sat through any of this, it would have felt very academic. And been like, okay, I hear that, but that doesn't mean anything
I
to
don't
me
know what
yet.
you're talking about, man.
And now that, I think to do it maybe on a more regular basis or maybe to hone in on, go a little deeper on some stuff every 6 months or something like that, I think that would probably be good. Because there'll be stuff that comes up that even if we were trained on it, we wouldn't remember it because we might only address it once in a year, once every 2 years.
And then it gets easy because most of our work is pretty easy. And then you get one with a lot of hair on it, a lot of issues. So the training was great. 2 hours would be the feedback.
but thanks for setting that up. That was
Yeah.
great.
It was good.
My only
You're
question
welcome.
was because I did read in here that it's the hearing of new land disturbance permit applications. But those are not well, I guess those aren't applications. Those are completed, final reviews, right?
Yeah, pretty much because we review them before even you get to see them because we want to make sure that they are following all the codes that are required.
Okay. So after the staff has spent months reviewing land disturbance permits, then it comes to this board just to
I mean,
grace it with our,
that's the way it is set up. I mean, if you guys want to change it, we will have to do the text amendment to,
yeah.
We want staff, especially on engineering, to do their work. And we don't want to see it really. You might want to. I don't.
No, I'm just putting it from a developer standpoint is if I spend 4 or 5 months going through the city and changing things and working with Bob to, really kind of hone in, and then to get to a final point, I would just hate to get to a board meeting after spending 5 months of basically doing everything the city wants, only to have one person object or something and say, hey, listen, sorry, go back to the drawing board. Because then what happens if we don't approve or recommend approval for their LDP? Then they just don't get it?
Over the last 5 years, that retaining wall color and the pavers are the architecture. And rarely we're relying on staff and the building codes and the inspectors. And we're not saying much. You have more knowledge on that topic than most of us. And so we are relying on staff and the codes and then the inspections in the field when it starts. And we're just looking at retaining walls, colors, materials. You caught something good on the doctor's little trellis building out there. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'd say also, sometimes we don't ever really have too many comments on those. I can just remember one where they had it was a restaurant, I believe, this is a couple of years ago, and they wanted to put the garbage can like right next to another business. And nobody really noticed it or picked up on it. And so that little set of eyes on it, I think we made a recommendation. They dressed it up a little bit or made it look a little bit better, put it in a different location.
Yeah, I
So it
think
did help, but
it basically assumes that there's good alignment between what's expected by the city that we're supposed to hold it up to and what is being worked by staff and approved by staff to get to that point. As long as that alignment's there, we shouldn't have those issues.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have many, but Reed said it real well. That trash can issue was just an architectural and a neighbor issue. And besides architecture, a lot of architecture is we're protecting the neighbors. And things are where they should be, and landscaping and all those things.
Now, is this just land disturbance permits for commercial buildings?
commercial, yes.
Okay. So we would just assume, and I'm sorry for all the questions, we would just assume if it's on this agenda that staff is recommending approval of the issuance of the LDP. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
except all your projects need to come before this board.
Next month I have to recuse myself.
Do you really? Yeah.
Mhm.
But just
I hope that's not the one Charlie wants to walk.
Right. Make the example.
But in fairness, I've already reached out to Bob for a complimentary architectural review. I haven't gotten any response back, so.
Are we any closer? I don't know if this is the right time to ask this question, if that's a new business, old business, but are we any closer to filling that vacant 7th seat?
So Rick Morick, you guys can reach out. We as staff cannot recommend anybody or, interfere into any of this appointing thing. I would definitely would want someone over there, because one guy out and, one board member out, and we have to actually find out that we have quorum or not, So yes, please reach out to Rick Morick and see where he is in terms of.
And do they have to be a Milton resident?
Yes, they have to be resident.
Okay.
Or they have to have a business in the city.
Or they can be have a business in Milton. And really, what we've wanted to do is if Rick could fill that with an architect, there's been a lot of conversation. And he's looked for that. Architects are really busy. We've had several turn that down. And it would be great if we had another architect. Tim Bryan was here 8 years.
Very helpful.
And very helpful when we'd get into some question. So we're hopeful, I am, that Rick's going to fill the role with an architect, which has been harder to fill. So it's not my place to defend him, but I think we should be on the record that we've been trying hard to find an architect.
And next month, we meet on April 5th, which.
No,
spring-
we are meeting on April 12th.
Okay.
Spring break.
Yes.
Fantastic. That was one of my questions.
Any more old business?
No.
I do have a question. Again, I don't know if this is the right time. I'm sorry, I'm just changing on my calendar so that I don't miss that. So it's the 12th. So can we get like a debrief on what happened during BZA?
Yeah, sure. I was there.
I don't know, last month, because evidently we approved the house that's next to the garage, the 2, 3, now maybe 8-car garage that's going in next to Stars, Rush Soccer. And it came before BZA, and because it's now attached, they basically were able to pull all need for all approvals for everything. And it sounds like there were a number of people, a number of opposition here.
Right.
So much so that the cops were called, but there was no opposition when it came in front of us.
Right. So they could have come over here, but I think the BZA meeting was deferred because you guys wanted to improve the architecture, and so all the advertising was redone, and so they didn't realize that they skipped. They probably didn't realize that it also getting heard by DRB, so they did not bother to come here, or they did not realize that DRB is another avenue to voice their opposition. But most of their comments or letters that I received were the same 10 points. I'm sorry, but they were exactly same paragraph. And they were talking about the tree removals that happened 16 months ago, and they were not happy about that. And so they wanted to oppose this variance. However, this variance was just for the location of the guest house, which by definition, guest house is supposed to be detached. But then because of all this, architectural improvements, it got attached, and I did not realize that now it's no longer fit the definition of a guest house. So it just became an addition instead of guest house.
So let me bring in here too, because I went through this. And
So just a minute, let me finish. So since it became addition, he didn't need a variance. That's why he pulled it back.
Right.
So there was no requirement of a variance. And so there was no decision made, but the public didn't get to comment or didn't get to do anything. And that's why they were really mad about it.
Right.
extreme animosity that was out there before our DRB meeting. When we postponed it, I got some calls from the opposition. They said, we're not coming because you're just doing architecture. And we're going to wait and go to BZA. And I said, that's fine, because we just recommend. So they said, you're not going to vote. Nope, we're going to make the building prettier, put in the windows, and do those things. And their animosity wanted to be focused on BZA. So that's why you didn't see them here, actually. Then next, truthfully and factually, staff made a mistake that should have never been filed, and that's the key point. One of the BZA members, as the meeting opened, said, I don't think this needs a variance because it's connected. And staff missed that, and it should have never been filed anyway because it's a connected building, so it didn't need a variance. If it didn't have that connected breezeway, it would have needed a variance. A BZA member caught that, brought it up. There was a lengthy discussion with staff and the lawyer, and and then there was a adjournment. Meanwhile, there's 6 or 8 very angry people here to talk, waited to talk. Staff and the lawyer went in the other room, came back and said, BZA is correct. We don't need a variance, and we're not going to have a hearing on this. The opposition really blew up.
That's
because
what I heard.
they had waited a long time to do this. There's animosity out here from the past, trees cutting down and things happening in the past that they're bitter about. Angry with the city. There's a whole lot of issues here. And they didn't get to speak. We called the police. And I spent 30 minutes trying to calm them down and working with them. And Bob has agreed. That night, there were BZA chairman, myself, Bob, we're all on the phone till midnight. And we're focused on, I don't know what's happened. We're focused on giving these people some listening and some hearing and understanding their grievances and making sure that what has happened wrong in the past is corrected.
So what they're upset about is that trees were taken down. And so evidently the homeowner took down trees without having a permit. He got fined for it. He paid the fine. And at that point, like, there's nothing else that really can be done, right?
Well, there is a compensation they were supposed to do, and they have pictures on all their phones. We're taking down supposedly 36-inch oaks, and the compensation was less than a 1-inch oak. And I don't think the arborist that went through this is still with the city.
No, she is. So they took down the trees in the stream buffer, which was undisturbed, supposed to be undisturbed. So when they took it down and they were asked to plant it, if we have to make them plant bigger trees, then you are again disturbing the buffer. That's why they were asked to plant the tiny trees. That's what I've been told, but
Well, because you can't replant a 36-inch tree.
without going the bobcat.
So they do it by
or whatever.
canopy. So knowing that a 1-inch or a 2-inch oak at its maximum potential is going to have a canopy of a certain amount that will meet or that will meet the 36-inch oak that was cut down. That's typically what the recompense is and how it works. from what I
Well,
understand.
I would correct one thing. Recompense is these are just numbers. 1 inch, maybe you need 300 of those. 3-inch, maybe you need 30 of those. And so there is something there about the size of what you put in.
If you do it by inch, but I believe the city uses canopy.
Canopy, yeah.
So,
And caliber, both are used, I believe.
right. So, a 1-inch is going to have a certain canopy over a certain amount of time. And then, so if the 1-inch has this canopy and 4 1-inch trees, the canopy of that projected future growth is going to meet the 36-inch that was cut down. That's typical.
So did this homeowner, yes or no, this homeowner did plant what was asked of?
Yeah, he did plant, but then I think we don't have follow-up kind of tracking of where it is now. Are they alive or
Did they die?
Here's
Here's where we can cut this kind of short. If any of us had done what these homeowners had done, it was 4 houses, we would be equally as upset because it's really a joke on what got put back in. 5 feet tall, 1-inch caliber, it's a joke. And they say that a third of them are dead. So they wanted their day, and that's what public hearing is all about.
Well, and that's why I'm asking the question, like what is our role in ensuring that something like that happens or doesn't happen, or that, that the right thing by the city takes place?
Well, for the variance, for the BZA, it was not their purview at that time because that project had no tree removal at that time. And obviously the case petition was withdrawn, so they could not make any decision on it. And they said, this is city's, decision, basically.
Really, those neighbors need to go back to the city, whether it's the arborist or whomever, and say, somebody needs to be holding the homeowner accountable to what has already been done. They're actually not doing anything technically wrong with what they're doing going forward, right?
Well, the variance and that work we were doing, they didn't need to do, so they're fine.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't, Like they're totally within bounds. Everything they're doing from here going forward. What they did before is what they're so
Before
upset
was
about,
wrong.
and someone needs to hold
In
Yep.
summary,
accountable one way or the other.
in summary, people waited 3 months to have their day in court and they were denied that. That was half their anger, which I agreed with them. I said, it's a horrible thing that's happened tonight. You're here to speak. You've been waiting 3 months and now you're told you will not be able to speak. And they just kept wanting to speak and they wanted to address the board, but legally, I kept saying to them, legally, the chairman can't let you speak because he's
Because it
not
was
trying the
withdrawn.
case. There's no case here. And, but it did get way out of hand, like 3 or 4 of them. Police were called. And in the end, your question, I like, what can we do? We need to be sensitive. We need to be aware of our neighbors, our homeowners. We're here to serve the community. My whole thing was, when I talked to Bob and BZA, we need to get out there at a high level and make sure these people weren't wronged, they didn't all die, and that this homeowner has really done what the intent of the city was. And they say it wasn't. And so, long story short, this in 5 years was one of the most volatile. There's been 2 or 3 other cases that were volatile. But I didn't disagree with them. I don't think anybody did. That they wanted to speak. They wanted to talk. They want to talk about this. And suddenly out of the blue, a member says, I don't think we need to hear this. I mean, all the work we all did, you went out there, and we all worked on this for 2 months. I was in shock that all of a sudden this was going away.
Yeah, all those windows aren't going in anymore. He's not going to have a window in his pantry, that's for sure.
No. So it really was a mess.
Yeah.
For everybody.
I hate that. It seems like a colossal waste of time and resources and money. I mean, people get paid to do their jobs. So.
Is that not what code enforcement also does? They don't check up on things.
Yeah, is that
Well,
who should be doing it?
the code enforcement don't check on the trees. We have only 2 code enforcement officers, and they go on the road and check on the signs and any other weird stuff like the grass is growing too high, and I don't know really.
My neighbor made me
I
take
don't know all
down
the
my
things that
play
they-
set. It was 5 feet too close to the property line, and they checked on me. I'll tell you that.
Did someone call and complain?
I called right after it was completed.
Yeah.
2 hours after my kids were playing on it. Right.
Unfortunately, that's typically when code enforcement actually gets involved, is when someone calls.
Yeah.
But I think was any of those arguments, my question is for me is I always try to see the facts versus emotions. And a lot of times you get emotions, but like you said, is you had multiple letters, but every one of them had the same paragraph. Was it the NIMBY or was it actual facts of why that should not be approved, or why, that's really, because you get a lot of people that are going to get 3 months to have their day in court and just kind of get up there and yell and argue. But is it factually, based on the hearing, right? Does that make
No,
sense? Because the
they-
trees had nothing to do with this
They
5
had-
years ago.
They had facts, but they were misplaced for this project because they were not related to this project.
Got
They
it.
were like past facts.
So I agree with what you just said, but also
Yeah, we have to be sympathetic.
we're here to serve
That's
and we're
correct.
here to solve people's problems. That's Doug's point. What are we supposed to do? Sometimes we step out of the black and white and we're here to listen. We're here to serve. We're here at the pleasure of the council. The council's there at the pleasure of the homeowners. And we're all here to serve. And so and I agree that issues they had that night had nothing to do with the case. But they're residents. They are unhappy. And so what Bob is doing is reaching out to them. And I've said, I'll go out there with you and let's get the arborists, let's get the community development director, and let's get out here and see if there's a problem that had nothing to do with the guest house, but was handled poorly in earlier years. I mean, we see cases, you'll see cases this year that are issues from 5 or 7 or 10 or 15 years ago. A lot of the things we see were done wrong a long time ago, and now they're in because they're selling the house or they're surveying it, and you're going to be working on cleaning up issues that were mistakes 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
It would be good to know how, like what the follow-up is when something does get approved. What is that accountability?
Well, he's got to go for a building permit, right?
Yeah, he has.
So
to
when he
come
goes for a
back.
building permit, I'm assuming he's going to have to turn in a site plan that
Yes, he
shows
does.
all the trees. There's going to have to be a tree recompense. And if he's
Well-
showing 1-inch trees, those don't even show up. So if they don't meet and you can't count trees in the stream buffer, correct?
Yeah, well, for this project, he had really didn't need any.
He's not
tree
taking
removal
out any more
because
trees.
It was already plain. The
Yeah.
side that he picked was already.
It's already been cut down.
He's not, that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah, I
'cause
got
he's
it.
gonna go
Okay,
with
so
the site
y'all,
plan
you don't
that
still look at
didn't
the
require
property
no
as a
trees taken
whole
out 'cause he's already taken them
meeting
out.
the minimum tree density?
He has enough density.
Does he?
actually,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we, DRB,
It's just on the
if
backside of the
somebody,
property.
if somebody doesn't come to DRB and does demo, we have 5 years of no permit, no development approval, kind of punishment or whatever. No, we should have that kind of something for anybody who removes tree without a permit in a buffer, stream buffer.
That's true.
We need to have something like that.
Yeah, well, so.
And of course, that's planning commission needs to do that.
But that's also too why I was asking you kind of on this first one where it did not have the erosion control on there. That's just maybe another step where we can look at that. And if they are asking to demolish a structure within that may, like that one last week or last month,
Yeah, it was near.
that you can just put some fence around and say, hey, and really they can in their mind say, well, I got fence here. I can tear everything out down, trees and everything included. So I think that may help as far as the trees are concerned and not tearing those down in the stream buffer. No, sorry.
All very good points. On old business, that is the walk. And I would encourage you to keep thinking about the area on Mayfield from the library to the corner. That will come back eventually on both buildings, looking for a demo. And architecturally and design, what do we think we want to see on that side of the street?
Are we talking this way? Or coming up towards Milton's?
Going back towards Alpharetta.
Okay. Going towards like Broadwell, mid-Broadwell?
Yep.
Yeah, from the corner at the traffic light, not the red brick building,
Mm-hmm.
but then south on.
Between the library and the bike shop.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So
And it's
coming-
all those
complicated
buildings.
too, because there's a piece of land behind these houses. And so there's a piece of land that's going to want to get approved that wraps this. And then there's 3 homes that are now businesses and have been. And it's just a complicated decision that is coming. It's been here once. It was denied, but it's going to come back. And it's more than a one evening meeting.
Is that in the form-based? Is
Yes,
that zoning
we
is?
This is crabapple form-based code
Okay.
area.
So as you're driving by and you're thinking and
And if you guys think that you want me to brief you on the form-based code, I'm happy to do it.
You read my mind.
So Deerfield and Crabapple area, both are form-based codes. So I'm happy to kind of give you a little bit of,
Can you just give us some literature to read or a packet next
Yes,
week or something like that? That'd be
definitely,
great.
yeah.
It's about 85
On audio
pages.
tape?
Is it really?
Mhm.
Can you give me a summary? Can I get the Cliffs Notes version?
I'm still reading it.
yeah, it's very complicated.
Have y'all, I'm just asking, like, do you talk to your city council person to see what it is they want to see happen with that
No,
side
we're not,
also?
we're appointed
So-
and we're not supposed to be doing that.
Even though, like you said earlier, we work at the pleasure of our city, council who
But we
appointed us.
work independently and we can't be dominated. All the boards need to make their own decisions.
Okay, just wondering.
But also too is the comprehensive plan for the city of Milton is typically drafted by council and members and
And the planning committee, right?
yeah, and that is essentially the ultimate goal and kind of overall look and feel and zoning and density for each little area. And just like when, Mayor Jameson says, hey, keep Milton, he wants to keep the equestrian lots and the,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the one that we had last week that's going, the building that's going to the right of the tall one that's already there, that's going in next to it, with the external stairs, that building. So when I was,
House.
yeah, the fraternity house, when I was out, I parked back there for a while looking at those buildings and talking to folks that were just kind of going in and out and whatever, and asking them what they thought. And one of the guys' responses to me was, I can't believe we're still building with all these empty buildings around here. And I was like, yeah, I kind of get that too, because on the other side of Crabapple going towards Roswell, there's still so many open spaces where nothing's gone in there.
Is that in Crabapple Market?
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you there's a whole lot of deals about to happen there and happening, and there's more leasing. A lot of people have made deals and put off because costs are high, construction costs, and things are definitely taking longer. And we have a very deep pocket owner there who can do what he wants to do, Adam Orkin. And he knows what he wants in there, and he's not cutting his rent, and he's working diligently to get what he wants, and he's not in any hurry.
Okay, well, that's good context.
What you think about it is it's coming. It is coming to, so city of Alpharetta is pretty much peaked, right? Home prices are astronomical. They're crazy. That entire downtown is built out. If you see it, it's starting to kind of move this way. It's starting to move a little bit from Roswell, especially now with the new exit that they're doing off for Deerfield.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to continue to bring business and patrons this way.
So if I can ring in on, I agree with Kim. It just happens. At lunch today, I was with Tim, who's president of North American, who developed Avalon. And we were talking about all of this. He said, it's interesting, when downtown Alpharetta opened, we were worried that our volumes and our sales, they keep sales tax on the restaurants, would drop. There was a lot of worry. Actually, as Alpharetta opened and their sales happened and it was packed, our numbers went up because we're becoming a true destination. Avalon, Alpharetta, our areas from Forsyth, Cherokee, Sandy Springs are coming up here because the quality of the spaces are great, the tenants are great, and the atmosphere is great, of walkable and more fun, honestly, as many have said, than downtown Sandy Springs. They're coming here. So more probably helps us. And again, like can't wait till the piano bar opens, and it's been 18 months, but that's coming. I think they're opening this week or next week, and it's been 18 months in the getting here. So lots happening in Crabapple Market. A lot is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's coming.
I'll say one thing. If we're going to do a walkabout in Crabapple, which we need to do, I'd like to do a drive about in Deerfield or something, because you're probably the closest one to that area. And Laura was such an advocate for Deerfield and Windward. And I don't really go that way that much.
I think that would be good.
To see some architecture, just to make sure that we're all sort of, but anyhow.
Here's the movement
Nice.
that is going on.
More base code area.
We met a month ago with Laura, Chairman of Planning Commission, Paul Moore, and all discussed an overlay district over there where more definitions wanting to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what is out there being socialized and talked about to better define what Deerfield needs to be. Now, Bob has a plan, Bob's working on it, but there's a movement out there driven by Laura and the new chairman, that overlay be done by outside and done more professionally, or that's the wrong term, quicker, better, because staff is so busy and it's not getting done. And that was a month ago. So you brought it up in public hearing. That discussion is going on, which we all need to be educated, because all those buildings are going to come to us.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's an important area to have two destination locations for our overlay districts is super important.
yeah, I
One
totally
to
agree.
overshadow the other.
So next Monday, at council meeting, there's going to be a resolution to apply for a grant, and the grant will pay for LCI study, that's Living Centers Initiative Study. It's a study that's actually Fulton CID is leading it, but Alpharetta and Milton are kind of partnering to do around Deerfield area. And that study we did this study in 2012, and that's where we decided to go with the form-based code. So now we're updating this study. And that way we can actually either, you can either update more form-based code, more details, or whatever we want, changes we can do, or we can do more branding style or whatever. That will be a result or, after a product of, not a product, but after the study, the council can decide which way to go. So, there are steps that are being taken, but it's a long journey.
Sounds like it's going to be quick.
Yeah, good discussion, very good discussion. Can I get a motion
Yep.
to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Y'all are doing great. The board has never been this strong, so it's just really great.